Hey everybody, it's Boo Ray Perry from Tampa, Florida, and today we are going to talk about why you should be printing your photographs. And more importantly, I really want to talk to the professional photographers who subscribe to my channel and talk about the tactics that you use to convince your clients to print their photographs. So it's kind of a two-way street. The photographers, I want to talk about what you say to your clients to convince them to print. And to regular folks, I want to talk about why you should print. And the reason that I'm making this video is because I'm going to say some things that are not going to be the same as what you hear from a lot of other photographers regarding printing. Because I think that we have a message regarding printing that needs to change just a little bit, and that's why I'm making the video today. Before we do that, let me remind you that I have a podcast. It is called Photobomb, and it's great, it's funny, and you'll enjoy it. It's all about photography and just a couple of guys having fun, and it's available anywhere that podcasts are found. I also have a group on Facebook called Pro Photo Talk with Boo Ray Perry, and I would invite you to join. And if you look in the description for this video, you will find a link to my website, and on that website, you will find every single piece of gear that I own or use, both professionally and in my travel kit with my Fuji X100F. So you can see everything that I use, and there are many, many, many videos on this channel about my travel kit and my experience with the Fuji X100F. All right, let's talk about printing. One of the things that I have been seeing again and again and again, first of all, there's always a movement to print your photographs. There's always been a movement to print your photographs, and there always will be. And I am in favor of this movement. Let me make that perfectly clear. Yes, I do believe you should be printing. However, one of the things that I see a lot is the argument that is made as to why you should print your photographs. And this is where I think we're starting to make some mistakes. One of the arguments that I see quite frequently is the argument that digital technology has changed over the years, right? And it could change again in the coming years. And therefore, keeping your files in a digital format is dangerous. You'll see memes and things like that where they'll show an 8-track tape, for example, and they'll say, you know, you had all your music on 8 tracks, and then 8 tracks went away, and now you don't have your music anymore. And this is why you shouldn't keep your I'm just laughing even thinking about it. This is why you shouldn't keep your photos in a digital format, because you could lose them. They could be gone forever. However, if you print your photographs, you won't lose them. You'll have a hard copy print that will be around for 100 years. Okay, there are a couple of problems with this argument. First of all, let's talk about the print that's going to be around for 100 years. Is it going to be around if your house burns down? Is it going to be around if there's a flood that floods the boxes in your closet or your basement where you keep your stuff? Is it going to look the same 100 years from now as it looks today after being exposed to weather and UV rays and etc.? No. A digital file, will it look the same 100 years from now as it does today? Yes, it'll be exactly the same. It doesn't degrade or change. Okay, so that's the first argument. That's the first area where I think there's a problem with the argument, is that you can't keep making this argument that a physical paper product is somehow more durable than a digital product, because it's not true. And the reason I know it's not true is because every professional photographer I know keeps and backs up their digital files. They don't print all their digital files onto paper and then throw their digital files away. They keep their digital files. And I think our clients know this, so it seems like a bad argument to make, right? It's a bad argument to tell our clients that they should be doing something that we are not actually doing, or at least we're not doing it for that reason. Again, there are many reasons why you should print, and that's what I'm going to talk about in just a minute. But one of the reasons you should print is not because digital technology is going to fail you. I mean, let's say, for example, that JPEGs went away. Let's say, for example, that they changed to a new format and nothing was kept as a JPEG anymore. What will we do? What will we do? All of our JPEGs are going away. Do you think for 1 minute that Google Photos and Apple's iCloud and all of those services where people store their photos, do you think that they wouldn't convert everybody's photos over? Of course they would. It's just business. And if they didn't for some reason, you'd be able to buy a program that converted all your photos over. Right? So that's why I don't like that argument. You can see through it. It's just paper thin. And here's another problem with the argument. You can't say to a generation that has been raised on their phone You must print your images or else you will lose them because they're in digital format. Because these people will tell you, wait a minute, I have a phone. I take pictures with my phone. I lost my phone. I bought a new phone. And within an hour of buying my new phone, I had all my pictures again in my phone. So explain to me again how my pictures are unsafe because they're in digital format? The truth is they're safer than they've ever been, provided they're backed up. And you have a responsibility as a photographer to tell your clients to back up their files. Every time I send wedding files or bar mitzvah files to a client, I tell them, listen, you need to download these onto your computer. You need to stick this drive in a safe place. And you need to back up the files that are on your computer to a safe place. If you have Google Photos, all you have to do is drag them and dump them into Google Photos, and Google will back up a copy of every single one of them for you, and they're in the Google archives. I also encourage my clients to have some sort of backup software that just automatically backs up all their important photos on their computer every single night. If you're doing that, if you're taking these steps, you absolutely are protecting those photographs much more than putting them on a wall somewhere or putting them in a box in your basement. All right. So the argument's kind of shallow and it's easy to punch holes in it. So what do we say to convince our clients to print? Or I'm saying to you, why should you print? Well, here's the thing. The very thing that is changing photography and has changed photography, the existence of digital files, is the reason that we should print. But it's a different reason and a different point than the one we've been making. Let's say you get married, right? And I'm your photographer. And now you're trying to decide whether or not you should buy a wedding album and print these images into a beautiful album and a keepsake for you and your family. Here's what I would say. Every picture you take with your phone is backed up. Every picture that your spouse takes with their phone is backed up. Your parents have phones, they're backed up as well. When your parents are gone, you will get access to their accounts. And if you're smart, you will take all the files that they have backed up and you will save them yourself, back them up to your files. Every picture your kids is going to take, all backed up. And when you're gone, your kids will have your pictures and their grandparents' pictures. And when they're gone, the next generation will have all of those pictures. So a couple of generations down the line, say your grandchildren will have access to millions of images that are backed up to the cloud. They will have access to all of these images ever taken by their parents and by their grandparents and by their uncles and their aunts, right? Do you think they're ever going to look at your wedding pictures? Your wedding pictures and your wedding album are going to be just this small little speck of dust in the cloud that is available images. It's just too much. Your great-great-grandchildren will never see your wedding images. They'll never see the images that are really, really important. But if you have a wedding album, that's different. Because a wedding album, something physical, something in your hand, that's an heirloom, right? I tell my clients, that's the thing that your children fight over when you die. Who gets the albums? That's important. You see, because of all the pictures you've ever taken on your phone and on vacation and laying around the house, here's the dog. The ones that are in your album, the ones that you've put down into an album and sealed in leather, these are important. We know they're important because you went to the trouble of putting them in an album. These are looked at generation after generation after generation. And that's why it's important to have an album for important events in your life. And as for portraits on your wall, well, they just make the home more beautiful. They make the home more warm. Studies have shown that children feel more secure when they grow up in a home where there are pictures on the wall of them. That's pretty cool, right? And I'll tell you something else. Again, having all your pictures in your phone, that's great. But if you want to look at one of those pictures, you have to make an effort. You have to say, I'm going to go and look at a picture from my wedding 5 years ago, and then you have to find it and look at it, whether it's on your phone or it's on your computer. But a picture that's on your nightstand, a picture that's on the wall, a picture that's on your desk at work, these pictures catch you by surprise. I can't tell you how many times I've been standing in my bedroom getting dressed, and I'll just glance over at the picture of my wife and I on the beach when we got married, and it makes me smile. It changes my mood. It takes me out of where I am as I'm instantly taken back to that moment in my life and how happy I am to have married that woman and how lucky I am. If you know my wife, I definitely am punching above my weight. That's the value of prints. And as I said before, we have lots of great reasons to print. Lots of great reasons to put pictures on the wall. Lots of great reasons to create photo albums of important events in our life. But one of those reasons is not because we will lose the images if we don't do it. I know we've been making that argument for a while, but I just don't think it's a good one. Because the time is coming now where the next generation simply doesn't comprehend that they could lose their images. They've never lost them before. They're backed up all the time. Why would I lose them now? So I think we need to stop making that argument, and we need to shift to another argument. An argument that is less about fear that you might lose something and more about value. The value of having a picture on your wall, the value of having a picture on your nightstand, and the value of having a wedding album or a senior album or an engagement album. Because there is real value there. I'll tell you right now, I'm one of the few people who sell something that actually goes up in value as time passes. Think about it. Everything you buy, with the exception of your house, everything you buy, it's worth less money as time goes on. But if I sell you a wedding album today, and I came back to you 10 years from now, and I offered you twice as much money as you paid for it to give it back to me, you wouldn't take that deal. And if I offered your children 4 times as much money as you paid for it to give it back to me, they're not going to take that deal either. So there is value, great value, in printed photography. That's what we should be telling our clients. At least that's my opinion. And since this is my channel, I get to spout my opinion as much as I want. Luckily, you can differ with me. You can spout your opinion too. Just do it right down there in the comments, but try and keep it civil. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.